Oh, hey dude. Welcome in everyone. Thanks for joining me for today's video, of which we're going to be speculating about the potential of the Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. To do so, we're going to be taking a look at From Software's most recent title, Elden Ring Nightreign. Nightreign has a ton of brand new systems, as well as countless refinements to the overall formula that we've come to know and love. So, let's let the speculation run wild, shall we?
Oi.
All right, everyone. I suppose we can get started. The topic of today's video is going to be centered purely around looking at the visual codex in Nightreign and all of the improvements to the tutorialization system and introducing the player in a very, very effective way to a lot of the systems that the game has to offer. And we're going to be viewing all of this through the lens of what From Software could potentially be doing, both for quality of life improvements and just overall ease in engagement and incentivizing players to actually know what the fuck they're doing. Dude. So, with all of that out of the way, dude, let's jump right into it right here. So I think the perfect place to start would be to look at the equipment tab here. So as we're scrolling down through everything, we can see everything on the right-hand side there just so excellently conveyed and laid out, dude. Far superior, in my opinion, than how they have it in the base game currently of Elden Ring, right? And I think one of the biggest things that, you know, is a deterrent for a lot of players in relation to getting introduced and trying out From Software's games is just that a lot of the systems explanation and things of that nature are so needlessly obtuse, dude. You know, like the games are already challenging enough, and when you have this additional like barrier to entry, so to speak, of like just being super archaic about how you convey a lot of this baseline information to the player, that feels incredibly bad, you know? And just kind of going over a lot of this, you know, because like over on the right hand side there you see, you know, the type of weapon that it is laid out real nicely and neatly up there, dude. The attack affinity, what kind of damage type that it does, in this case being slash and pierce, and then the status elements respectively, as we see bleed on the Reduvia here, we see Scarlet Rot there on the Scorpion Stinger, for example. And then going on down through the attack power section, you know, knowing if a weapon is split physical or split magic damage, you know, any one of the 5 different damage types there, right? And laying that out very, very nicely. And once again, you know, it's like certain things are done decently well, you know, in the base game of Elden Ring as it stands, you know? But it's just like everything right here. You have the item description, you have all of the information conveyed on the right-hand panel there, and it's just, it's so good, dude. So, and even then, dude, you know, you lay out the attribute scaling there at the bottom too, you know, like you have everything very, very neatly and concisely conveyed. And that is just, that's spectacular. And this is something that I feel would be pretty much a no-brainer addition for something like the Tarnished Edition, you know. The easing of the information drip, I guess you could say, is just, it's something that they should definitely focus on, you know? And obviously, you know, if we look back at, I think Sekiro was really the game that they really keyed into the tutorialization a little bit more because of how, you know, punishing that game can be and how mechanics-centric and mechanics-focused that game is primarily. That was really fucking sick to see them do that, you know, having the pop-ups, you know, conveying all of this stuff, and even even in the base game of Elden Ring, right? They do a decent job at conveying certain mechanical things, you know, when they want you to use them, when they're teaching you that, going through the Cave of Knowledge and things like that, right? But even then, you know, I think this is the perfect segue to go into this section, right? Well, is it this one? Oh yeah, it's this one. Okay, so in the visual codex here, we have the handbook section, right? And this is very akin to the kind of pop-ups that they use in the base game of Elden Ring when they're trying to introduce you to a new mechanic as such, right? But even when you're comparing that to what they've done in Nightreign here, it's like they don't get this granular with, you know, talking about and breaking down all of these specific mechanics. They even go as far as to, you know, start out explaining explicitly what HP is, you know, FP, stamina, all of that stuff. And as you'll see here, this is something that isn't in base game at all, right? Which is having short little clips to actually express and get the meaning of exactly what they want conveyed, right? And it's just, it's so excellent in that way, you know? And like even right here, right? You know, like without going into the actual like controls section and stuff, I know a lot of people that, you know, have played a wide array of From Software games for the first time. They never, like a lot of people never even figure out that they can swap the target while locked on, for example. You know, that's just something that comes to mind off the top of my head. And, you know, as you can see right here, you see that being demonstrated in every section here, you know, and really giving you a very, very granular breakdown of what exactly this mechanic is, how to interface with it therein, right? So yeah, just going on down the list, you know, you see all of this different stuff, and this would just be an excellent thing for them to focus on, especially with the Game of the Year Edition re-release, that being the Tarnished Edition, right? And I just think it would be an excellent thing for them to really, really focus on, you know? Because it's something that is very, very sorely lacking in the game as it stands right now. But yeah, kind of moving on from there, we don't necessarily have to cover every single thing, but just kind of scrolling down through here, they give an explanation and pretty much a video for damn near every single thing here, which is just so fucking valuable, dude, you know? Breaking all of it down. So, moving on from there, one of the best improvements that Nightreign has made here, especially in this menu in particular, is the addition to the base properties section on the right-hand side. And don't get me wrong, you know, I know that, and as we can see right now, if you look at the item description, on the bottom right there, it says, follow up with strong attack for an upward strike, right? But in Nightreign, they added this section on the right-hand side, where it tells you the FP cost, respectively, it tells you how to activate the weapon skill, which is exceptional. The FP cost is on the right there, and then it tells you actually how to do the follow-up input and shows the buttons there on the screen, which is fucking spectacular, dude, you know? And the reason why I hammer this point home so hard is because I've watched many of my buddies, you know, and even streamers playing through Elden Ring for the first time, you know? Like, a lot of players, they'll use, you know, a particular Ash of War that has a follow-up input, like a second additional input that you need to activate to actually get to the full potential of said skill, right? And they end up either never figuring out that the Ash of War or weapon skill actually has a follow-up input press, right? And that is just so deeply tragic, dude, you know? And once again, I want to reiterate, like, the game, yes, it does tell you the ones that do have, you know, follow-up presses and how the actual mechanical side of the said Ash of War works, right? Like, for example, with Wild Strikes here, hold to continue swinging. But, like, most people, when they're starting out, dude, they just press it once and they're like, this fucking attack sucks. You know what I mean? Like, why would I ever use this? But all that to say, a lot of players, even though the information is technically conveyed in the item description tab of said weapon and Ash of War, a lot of players never even know or even decide to toggle to actually read the Ash of War's item description in the first place, right? So a lot of this information is just needlessly, like, being obscured or, you know, like, quote-unquote hidden from the player. And that fucking sucks, dude, you know? Like, there's no reason for that. Like, it should be up front, just like how Nightreign has it right here, you know? All of this information should be conveyed to the player on the same panel, on the same page, ideally, you know what I mean? And not to belabor the point too much, but it's such an important thing to know, dude, especially for those who are familiar with the meme of Elden Ring, right? You know, like, the Ashes of War, the weapon skills they're all so incredibly powerful, you know, and that's a tool that Elden Ring at large and the developers therein really want you to utilize. You know, they made the Ashes of War extremely powerful for a reason and to serve a purpose therein. Oftentimes, certain Ashes of War end up being a little bit too strong, but that's a whole other discussion for a whole other video, right? But just look at this, dude. Like, it's so good, dude. Just seeing all of that in the top right, you know? Like, just to reinforce that and have the buttons associated for each thing, show the FP right next to it, all of the information being conveyed on a single page is just spectacular. So I really hope that this is something that they put forward into the Tarnished Edition. And a lot of this stuff too, you know, it's like it's just nice quality of life improvements. It's kind of similar to what From Software did for certain quality of life improvements just before the DLC dropped in a patch, right? That being, they added the new acquired items tab, you know, and things like that, right? Which is a game changer. Like, that's incredibly valuable on any given player's first experience, you know? Because a lot of times, like in the previous games, you're going through and you just pick up something, you get rid of the menu that tells you what it is too quickly, and then you're like, oh fuck, what the hell did I just pick up, right? You know, and you spend the next like 5 to 10 minutes trying to comb through your inventory, trying to figure out what you just acquired, right? So this is definitely along the same lines, you know, and I think it'd be an excellent change and a very free one for them to do with that, you know, considering how similar Nightreign and Elden Ring are from a game standpoint, and being able to backport this kind of stuff is easier than ever, I would imagine, you know, with the similarities being closer with with Elden Ring and Elden Ring Nightreign than ever before, right? So, moving on past that, dude, all of these things, I think, add to the base game experience so much. Actually being able to see all of this information conveyed in a nice, neat, and concise manner, it would help out so much for the new player experience, and it would even add something, you know, for returning players too, where they're just like, oh my god, dude, that's fucking sick. So yeah, basically, if they can't like properly convey all of this that they want to, as well as all of the stats and stuff like that, alongside all of this, I would say at the very least, in the tab that's created, that From Software put in Elden Ring, for a lot of the tutorial pop-ups, you know, you have that section in your inventory when you open it up to always be able to revisit any tutorials if you forget about something. I think a separate tab or something like that to convey a lot of this information and everything else that we've talked about today too, you know, in relation to the handbook, all of this stuff, like, get super granular when it comes to explaining all of this stuff, dude, because it's needed, and it's so fucking valuable, you know? Especially adding in the video demonstrations for a lot of this stuff, you know? Like, it's something that should happen, I think. If you guys are familiar, you know, the only time that we ever really get to see the illustrations that are assigned to each individual Ash of War is in the Ash of War selection page, which, me personally, dude, you look at something like this, you want to see the Tarnished double-cheeked up as often as you possibly can, dude. So, in my opinion, it's a really big missed opportunity to go through all of this work, that being, of course, illustrating and doing all of the art for all of these specific Ash of Wars, and you only ever get to see them in the Ash of War selection menu. And that's even more unfortunate, as we're about to see here, right? Because all of these ones you actually do get to see, at least via the Ash of War selection menu, at some point during your playthrough in the base game. But unfortunately, the same cannot be said for all of the unique Ashes of War that are tied to specific weapons, as we see here. All of these Ash icons never get shown off in the base game in any capacity, which really sucks, honestly, you know? Especially because some of the artwork that was made for a lot of these locked Ashes is fucking immaculate, dude. It's some of the best art in the entire game, period. And to not have it be showcased really fucking sucks, dude. I just think it's a huge missed opportunity on From's part to not showcase the Ash of War illustrations as much as humanly possible. You know? Not only because they look fucking sick, and they're badass as all hell, but because they have the potential to serve an additional purpose within the game, which I think brings us beautifully to my next point. To reinforce this point overall, we'll actually head on out and go over to the sparring grounds here. So I can show you guys this more vividly, I guess. So, as you can see right there in the bottom left, on Guardian's Halberd, this is something that they did specifically for Nightreign, which I think would just be incredible to see implemented in the base game in terms of a UI improvement. It's sick, dude. You know, you can actually see the Ash of War that's attached to the weapon right there, right next to the fucking weapon. And right here you see that we have Charge Forth, right? Without even having to spell it out like it is in the base game, up and to the left of the shield icon there. They actually list out the Ash of War name that you have equipped, but instead of like, and that's the other thing, I'm not suggesting to like remove that portion of the UI by any means, but just adding it right next to the weapon is just, it's such a no-brainer thing, dude, you know? And like, obviously we even see it, like, when you swap your weapon, the name of the Ash of War comes up, as well as showcasing the respective icon for it, right? Which I think is just so fucking cool, man, you know? So, that's pretty much everything I wanted to showcase in relation to, making the Ash of War icons able to be appreciated a little bit more, and it helps with just overall understanding, you know, having an actual visual representation of which Ash of War you actually have on. It's really cool, you know, and I think the artists that worked on all of the Ash of War icons, I think they deserve to be shown off, dude, much more, instead of just being isolated to the Ash of War menu, and when you decide to actually mouse over them, you know, in your inventory when you pick up a new one, right? So, there we go, dude. That being said, dude, I think that covers everything that I wanted to in this particular video. I hope you guys will, Hope you guys will stay tuned for subsequent videos that, of course, are indeed planned. And, if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it to be entertaining, please, of course, share it with your homies, and or feel free to drop a like. And if you're feeling extra special, dude, feel free to subscribe. Plenty more content like this and beyond to come. Bye for now, everybody.
Hey.